basically what you need. About to go take a bath, but before he does, talk to you guys about TBE and the greatest. All right. Floyd Mayweather calls himself TBE. People are saying the Manny Pacquiao call himself the greatest, and Pacquiao's trying to aspire towards that. And I believe that both can be called that because their records support that. And like I said in a previous video, you can have more than one the greatest. You can have goats, greatest of all time. We got the goat rankings, right? So there you go. You can have more than one TBE. I mean, Lennox Lewis could make a claim to be in TBE. I mean, uh, I mean, certain fighters who have proven it with their records can claim they're TBE. They can because their records back them up. All right. And bottom line, what I really want to say about Pacquiao and Mayweather is both of them can be what they claim they are. A lot of times fans they want to put down one fighter to lift up another fighter. Oh, Pacquiao, he can't be the greatest. Floyd was the greatest. He was the greatest of his era. You could be the greatest of your era, but the other guy can claim he's the greatest because of his record. Roberto Duran lost to Sugar Ray Leonard, got beat up, quit, and he still considers himself pound for pound the best boxer that ever lived. Okay, so I mean, he can make the claim because when you look at his record, when you look at his record and his accomplishments, when you look at everything in totality, he can make that claim. You know what I mean? Because he was an exceptional fighter amongst the fighters of his era. He separated himself from everybody else, right? And Pacquiao and Floyd were the exceptional fighters of their era. And there were some great fighters in their era. You had Cotto, four-divisional world champion. First time in Puerto Rican history that ever happened. And you look at the plethora of fighters that Cotto faced. Cotto faced 16, top tier guys. And of those 16 guys, he beat 11 of them. Okay? Top tier guys we're talking about. Not no joke. Top tier guys. I'm not going to use the word champions because champion today, it means something different to champion of yesteryear. I'm just going to say top tier guys. All right. When you look at Pacquiao, Pacquiao has gone through 26 top tier guys. Oh, was it 26? I think it's 26 to 27 top tier guys, of which he beat 21 of them. All right. Mayweather has gone through 24 top tier guys and beat all 24. All right, that's astronomical numbers. That's like Sugar Ray Robinson numbers. That's like Roy Jones Jr. numbers. That's Harry Crabb numbers. And even Harry Crabb don't even have that high a number. When I was doing top tier guys in boxing, you saw that when you're talking about the top of the top of the top, Sugar Ray Robinson, I think he faced like I think it was 26, 25, 26 of them, and he beat like I think it was 20 or 21 or 22. You know, y'all don't realize like how crazy that is. What I'm just saying, these figures are ridiculous. Like in your whole career, an average boxer faces 2 to 3 top tier guys in their entire career. The average boxer and the average championship boxer faces 4 to 5 top tier guys. Canelo's on a tear. Canelo's gonna break records because Canelo at this age he already has faced 16 top tier guys. 16. He about to get face 17. This motherfucker's on a tear. He's already surpassed Julio Cesar Chavez in terms of top tier guys he's faced. Okay, Canelo's out to make history. He might be the greatest of all time again because he's proving it with his record. Okay, so Canelo's a crazy guy. He facing. See, what you got to understand. First thing you got to do is face the top tier guys. All right. If you face the top of the top of the top, you don't have to face all them other guys below the top of the top of the top. Now you could if you want to, but you already proved your point by beating the top of the top of the top. But you might want to defend, so you might want to face one of them guys under the top of the top of the top, just to prove the point that I am the best, right? And styles do make fights. But you got to understand, what Canelo's doing is ridiculous. All right, it's ridiculous. Back to back to back, he's been facing top tier guys. The only guy he didn't face that was a top tier guy, which, because our standards are so high for Canelo now, we look at that fight. Yildirim. Yildirim was it just wasn't on Canelo's level. Like, that dude didn't belong. It's like, which of these things just don't belong here? Yildirim. You know what I mean? He just did not belong. He was supposed to be this mandatory, but he just did not belong in the equation. But our standards are so high today that Canelo fights a guy who's a contender, Yildirim, and it's like, no, no, that's beneath you. You should be facing champion Charlo, or you should be facing champion Andrade, or you should be facing this champion or that champion. This champion's weak and that champion's strong. We talking about champions like that. It's crazy. The standard that Canelo has on him is ridiculous. And that's the standard we had for Pacquiao and Mayweather. In fact, Mayweather couldn't even, Mayweather faced a two-time world champion in Andre Berto in his parting fight. And people were like, he's cherry picking. That shit is unheard of. Back in the day, people would be praising people for that shit. You know? And we're talking about a guy who was the WBC and IBF world champion, Andre Berto. He beat Jan Zabic, and he fought for the vacant WBC that Floyd vacated, right? And I can't remember who he fought against for it. But the point is, Andre Berto was a damn great fighter, and he was on an upswing, and he's still on the upswing because he's beating everybody now. Sean Porter kind of threw a rut in the upswing because Porter, again, is from another generation. You understand? And Porter's a killer. We all know that. Now, with every new generation, you get fighters that are actually better than the previous generation. Like, okay, Pacquiao, what Pacquiao is doing is trying to prove, kind of go against the grain and show that his former generation, he's kind of representing the former generation, the Floyd generation. But y'all don't realize with every successive generation, the fighters watching at the fighters that have been there come to do something better than them. They come to be better than them. And so this present generation, it's not surprising Pacquiao got beat by Ugas if you think about it, because boxing is a sport evolves. Ugas saw how to beat Pacquiao. He understood the blueprint, and he did his thing. And in the rematch, Pacquiao's going to have to be going up against that, and he got to bring something new and fresh to the table, something additional. The boxing scientist, what's up? Canelo has been on a Europe tour. Canelo's rarely avoiding top-tier fighters. See? That's how high the standard is for Canelo. Y'all talking about, and it's bullshit because Caleb Plant is not from Europe. Caleb Plant is a American, okay? He represents America, and you better back his ass, and Caleb Plant might just win that fight. Might just win that fight. Just like how Tyron Woodley might just beat Jake Paul, okay? Because sometimes when you're going after certain people, assuming, oh, Caleb Plant don't got experience, Caleb Plant, we seen him look like he's struggling in certain fights. That he just showed you a piece of Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant's much more than that. Anyway, y'all gonna see. Y'all gonna see. He picked the wrong guy, Canelo. If y'all say he cherry picking, that's not a cherry to pick. Y'all gonna see. Caleb Plant ain't no joke. I remember Leonard Ellerby even saying, "Oh no, Caleb would beat him." But anyway, I'm gonna reserve my opinion for when the fight date comes in November. We're going to really start to break down what Caleb Plant can do when they all done their training camps and shit. Y'all going to understand what Caleb Plant is. Caleb Plant is he's a serious dude, man. Canelo picking, he's picking the wrong cherry. If that's a cherry he's trying to pick, that wasn't a good idea. That's a hard fight. Y'all talking about Benavidez. Benavidez is not the threat for Canelo. Caleb Plant is. I'm going to say it again. Benavidez is not the threat. The silent killer is Caleb Plant. Y'all going to see. Caleb Plant would beat Benavidez. He'll beat him. Caleb Plant would beat Benavidez. Beat his ass. And y'all going to be watching it with your mouth, your jaw open. It's boxing. It ain't strongman contest. It's not how fast your hands can go. It's not about, oh, I can throw some body shots. Y'all, it's defense wins you fights, man. Defense. Y'all don't understand. Caleb Plant gonna make Canelo look stupid at a certain point in this fight. Y'all gonna wonder if Caleb got robbed, or anyway, y'all gonna see what I'm talking about, because y'all don't understand. Y'all don't understand. Caleb is a different, he cut from a different cloth. He's a different dude. Sweet Hands Plant. That should have told you something. Sweet Hands. Nobody just puts sugar on people just like that. You don't just put sugar on people just like, y'all tripping, man. Y'all tripping. Y'all tripping. Y'all tripping. If y'all think Benavidez could beat Caleb Plant, I'm going to say this on record. I put it on wax. Okay? You could quote me on this. If y'all think Benavidez could beat Caleb Plant because he's big and he throw combinations, and when he's ready, he can go into a defense kind of like and pick off punches. Y'all gonna be shocked when Caleb Plant drops. That's what I said. Drops David Benavidez. He gonna drop him with a counterpunch, check hook. He drops his ass with a check hook. You hear me? Caleb Plant ain't no big hitter quitter, but he'll catch him with a check hook and drop him. And then y'all gonna be shocked. He gonna do the Andre Ward thing, and y'all gonna be shocked. And I'm not gonna tell you why he can check hook David Benavidez, but I'm gonna leave it at that. Y'all try and figure that one out. Caleb Plant is a beast when it comes to the sweet science, and y'all don't know this. And he gonna showcase his skills, and y'all gonna be shocked because y'all only seen a little bit of Caleb Plant, and y'all said he struggled against Ustateku. Come on, man. Dropped Ustateku twice with what? The check hook. Because guys like Benavidez, I ain't going to expose everything. I'm going to leave that alone. I'm not going to say no more. If I say more, Benavidez is going to be working on that shit. So when he beats Caleb Plant, I hope he keep the same energy, say he's a big, strong guy, and he's going to try and walk Caleb Plant down. Oh, man, I'll look forward to it. Caleb Plant will check hook his ass, and he will drop him. Y'all don't believe me? Watch. And Caleb Plant is a tricky dude. And Canelo he don't know what exactly he's going in there for because he's never seen Caleb Plant showcase all his skills. But trust me, Caleb Plant got something for Canelo. He got something for Canelo. He's a dangerous guy. Canelo just picked a dangerous dude. He's avoiding, y'all say he avoiding Demetrius Andrade. Okay. Caleb Plant's just as dangerous as Demetrius Andrade, and he's bigger. He's just not proven. He's just not proven. He was a sleeper. He got Canelo to sign the agreement. But let me shut my mouth because next thing we hear an injury or something that stopped the fight from happening. I ain't want that shit. I don't want that shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't want that shit to happen. Keep that same energy, boxing scientists. Keep that same energy that you got. Keep that same energy. Okay? Y'all gonna see what Sweet Hands can do. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not guaranteeing he wins the fight because Canelo's got experience. He can make adjustments. He can make adjustments. But it's not. He ain't gonna. Canelo ain't gonna just step in there and start walking down Caleb Plant and landing body shots. It's not gonna happen. All right, and I'm letting y'all know from the get go where I stand on that. I already told y'all Tyron Woodley gonna beat Jake Paul ass. That's what I said. All right, because Tyron Woodley, you just look at it, the psychological thing there. Woodley steps forward, Jake Paul backs off. You know why Jake Paul backs off? Because Woodley's an actual fighter. Woodley got that confidence. Jake Paul don't got that confidence. He's stepping into something that he don't know. And he could have all the skill in the world. You could have all the skill in the world. If you ain't got the confidence to be the guy, you're going to lose. And he already showing that he will lose that fight. I already know Jake Paul's, he's scared of Tyron Woodley because Tyron Woodley been down this road 100 million times. Jake Paul hasn't been. He been sparring and sparring good guys, solid guys, and sparring, getting into work. But he's not sure about how it's going to turn out. And you can feel it in his body language. That's why Tyron Woodley just be talking him down. Tyron Woodley got that confidence because Tyron Woodley Tyron Woodley's telling Jake Paul, you ain't showing me shit. And as far as I'm concerned, you ain't a real fighter. You know what I'm saying? So Tyron Woodley's looking at Jake Paul like up and down like, you ain't showing me shit. You're not a real fighter. And Tyron Woodley said, you got to make me believe that you something. You got to make me believe. I'm going to come in and interview you and we're going to see. That's the attitude Tyron Woodley has for Jake Paul. And I know Floyd Mayweather and a lot of people, we know he on PEDs. That's what gives his confidence. And Tyron Woodley don't need to be on PEDs because Tyron Woodley got confidence. And motherfuckers don't understand. Confidence is not pride. It's not boastfulness. Confidence comes from years and years of doing shit and knowing what it is. And knowing when you get in the ring what it is that you got to deal with. Jake Paul don't got that. And he going to be taught. Tyron Woodley going to teach him a thing or two in that ring. That's why I said he gonna beat his ass. He gonna beat his ass. That boy gonna get beat down. He gonna get some confidence if he could land something, but he gonna get his ass beat. And I'm not saying that the boy ain't got skills and natural internal ability and talent and God gifting. I'm not saying that, but experience is everything right now. And Tyron Woodley been walked that road. Done walked that road 100 million times. He gonna beat that boy ass. He gonna beat that boy. You know? And Jake's gonna respond. He gonna come back. He gonna try and do something. But Tyron Woodley gonna beat his ass. He about to get beat down. And I hope Jake Paul come back from that stronger and learn something. You know, and respect the sport. Because Tyron Woodley's not a pro boxer. But he been around the boxing circuit for a good while. And he been boxing in the gym and sparring and all that shit. You know? And don't get me wrong, Jake Paul got talent and skills. You know, I saw him check hooking and all of that shit. I seen what he can do offensively. But what can you do defensively? Where is your defense? Right? You shouldn't be getting rocked on the chin with certain kinds of punches, but he gonna get rocked on the chin with certain kinds of punches. And there's some other shit that Tyron Woodley gonna do him. So I'm hoping that Tyron Woodley keep his composure and just take this boy apart, dismantle this boy, destroy this boy piece by piece. Don't take him apart all of a sudden. No, punish his ass. Punish his ass, round by round. Conserve your energy. Keep your composure. Jake Paul got some composure too. I like that. You know, everybody thinking Jake Paul gonna stop Tyron Woodley. That ain't happening. It's not happening. I guarantee you that. You know, I understand where people coming from. Tyron Woodley, you know, he lose 4 in a row. They think he's faded. You know, that's the bullshit they always do with the older fighters. They think they faded. Anderson Silva, you know, soft touch for, that's a cherry pick. Who they say is a Chavez Jr. pick. And the cherry pick turned out to be wrong. You know, Jake Paul cherry picked. Oh, we all know why he cherry picked Tyron Woodley. Oh, yeah, he been on a losing streak. He get a let go from MMA. You know, it's a good little challenge, but I'm supposed to come through with the win. You know, Woodley's too small. Woodley's not small, ninja. Woodley walks around at 190 pounds, 200 pounds. Woodley to make 170 has to weight drain himself to make 170. Trap. Walked into a fucking trap. Jake Paul, you walked into a trap. You picked Woodley. You shouldn't have picked Woodley. He ain't getting past Woodley. Talking about Canelo and all these other. He's not getting past Woodley. He's not getting past Woodley. Just look. I knew that Billy Joe Saunders was getting his ass beat after he did not attend the press conference with Canelo. Every time Tyron Woodley takes a step forward, Jake Paul takes a step backward. You look at the weight. When they was doing the weight exchange, Woodley was up in Jake Paul's grill. Jake Paul took a step back. Woodley was like, come closer, boy. Come closer. Because it's a mental thing. Boxing's a mental game. Jake Paul looking to land something from his training. It ain't going to land. Because you're not going to get close enough to land. You know why? Because your ass going to be afraid of Woodley from round 1. Woodley already in your head. Woodley's already psychologically broke you down. You're not winning that fight. His mother singing No Limit Soldier shit and Go Big. She's singing Go Big. Woodley done make up songs Go Big. They know the trap. They know what they said. They just got to spring it. They just got to execute it and spring it. Woodley been boxing all the time. He loved boxing. Been doing it since he was a child. Been in all the gyms always boxing. And they saying Jake Paul's more strategic. That shit gonna go out the window. All that he know is going to go out the window. He didn't, you see, repetition, but he didn't do enough repetition. Woodley been doing it all the time as a fighter. Jake Paul realizing, hey man, I don't even know what the fuck I'm in. Because he's like swimming in water, but he don't know what, you know, he look like he might drown. Because he don't know this level. They think they got the right guy. They think they got the safe guy, but he not sure. Because this guy seemed to be live. Always up in his grill. Live. Woodley's live. They thought he would just lay down and sell out. He live. That's a live dog in there. And not just a live dog that's seen it all and got experience. It's not just the power of Woodley. He may not have all that great power. It's his mindset. Y'all don't understand. This is a mental game. Boxing is 90% mental, 10% physical. And Woodley got that mental game. And I'm telling you, man, Jake Paul gonna lose that fight. He gonna lose it. Not saying Woodley will knock his ass out, but Woodley gonna beat him up. He gonna get beat up. And Jake gonna take it. He that kind of dude. He gonna learn his lesson. He gonna take the loss. He gonna learn his lesson, and he gonna start back better. He gonna come back better. But he gonna learn. He gotta take his time. You know, and he talking big to manifest big. That's why he talking so big, Jake Paul. I ain't got no I don't disrespect Jake Paul for what he doing. I respect him for what he doing. You know, and they picked Tyron Woodley to beat him. They picked Tyron Woodley because he looked like he a beatable dude. I'm telling you, that man is live. They thinking Tyron Woodley's tank gonna drain somewhere around maybe round 4, round 3. He gonna be tired. But no, Tyron Woodley, he spars. He do boxing. The dude literally, he may not have an official boxing background, but he been doing it for a long time. A very long time. I remember Mayweather and they was talking about Tyron Woodley. He was the best boxer in the MMA. You know, now they got better boxers than Tyron Woodley in the MMA, but I'm just saying. You know? And that boy knows, Woodley knows boxing. Okay? So I'm really interested when the heat comes back on Jake Paul, when he starts to take the heat, what he gonna do? And I'm not talking about take the heat in terms of just direct punches. No, I'm talking about the heat off of angles. Punches off of angles. And he ain't see the punch at all. How you gonna react to that shit? I know he's tough. I can see Jake Paul is a tough guy. You can see he built for boxing. But how's he gonna handle that experience? And when he fights back, he realizes he's not really landing the stuff like he wanted to land. What he gonna do then? Cause his right hand is his weapon and his left hook is his weapon. That's his two weapons, right? Like most orthodox fighters. What happens when them left hooks and those right hands are not landing? What's he gonna do? What's his plan B? You know what I'm saying? That's what this fight's about. He not gonna make it. He not gonna get to the another level. Nobody makes it to the another level. Nobody. And Woodley's just the guy he needs to realize that. And it's okay. It's okay. All right. Anderson Silva was picked for Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. to get to the next level, to beat a legend. He couldn't cross it, and that's okay. You can always take a second chance and do a second thing. And they got a rematch clause, so you can always rematch Woodley. Why do you think they got a rematch clause? Think about what I'm saying. They're not sure. They're not sure they're going to get past Woodley. Okay? They're not sure they can get past Woodley. So, I'm just saying all of this, not to diss Jake Paul. I think he's doing a great thing. He's doing better than me. You know? He's actually doing the sport at a high level. For a civilian that just started boxing about 4 or 5 years ago. You know what I mean? That's ridiculous. His improvements probably are ridiculous as well. Because he's just invested his heart and soul into boxing, and that's great. But there's still levels to this shit. You know, and you have to understand that. Right? And I see what they're doing. I see what they're trying to build, but I think they did it a little too quick. They moved a little too fast. Well, I'm not gonna go bald, bro. I'm actually due for a haircut. I should have done one today, actually. Nah, man, I ain't gonna bet. No, I ain't gonna bet on that, bro. I'm not, cause Jake Paul could win. He could land a lucky shot and win, or set him up and knock him out. I don't see it happening, but if Woodley keeping his defense tight, that ain't happening. You know, I seen Woodley do a little bit of boxing, a little shadow boxing, a little boxing. I ain't seen him doing sparring or nothing. They did keeping that real quiet, but um, I'm pretty sure that Woodley has prepared himself for this fight. He's not gonna just go in there like a fool, like them other guys, and get knocked out in the first round. And I think Jake Paul gonna try and go get him, or he gonna try and see Woodley needs to be ready for if Jake Paul gonna go get him so he can counter punch him, or if he has to go get Jake Paul, or if they gotta stay in the center of the ring and turn and go around each other. You know, and how Woodley's footwork is, which he's got decent footwork. I've seen him in MMA. He got decent footwork. He closed the distance pretty good. But if he got good footwork, and he slide to the inside and start working Jake Paul's body and start roughing him up on the inside, I think Woodley beats Jake Paul. If Canelo beats Plant, you shave off all your hair. No, man, I ain't doing all of that, bro. It's a these are two very competitive fights that could go. They could go one way or the other. We don't know. We don't have enough information. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not close enough to the Caleb Plant Canelo fight to wager a bet like that. I wouldn't do something like that yet. I don't mind going bald. I just don't. I don't want to put my. I don't want to bet on those things right now. I really don't, because they are close fights. That's what makes them intriguing. They're close enough that it could go one way or the other. And it's Woodley versus Jake Paul is going to be a competitive fight. That I can guarantee you that, and you're going to get some action too. Same thing with Canelo and Plant. Those are two close fights. So you don't stand by what you're saying then. Like I said before, the point I'm making with both of the fights is that it ain't somebody. Jake Paul ain't going to face somebody going to lie down. Canelo's not going to be facing Caleb Plant going to lie down. I can't guarantee that Caleb Plant will win the fight. All I can guarantee you is that y'all underestimating Caleb Plant, and y'all gonna see for yourself what Caleb Plant can bring to the table. I can't tell you what the judges might do. The judge might, in a close decision, they might give it to Canelo, for example. You know what I'm saying? So I can't say, well, Canelo won't win this fight. Caleb Plant, hands down, will win this fight. I'm not saying that. Also, I'm not saying that Tyron Woodley is going to beat Jake Paul comprehensively. Anything could happen. Judges, it could go to the judges' scorecards. It could be a blistering 8 rounds. Go to the judges' scorecards, and they give it to Jake Paul. You know, Tyron Woodley might have won the fight. You know what I mean? Or Tyron Woodley might have shown Jake Paul a lot of things, give him some more experience, and he still loses the fight. Or he might win the fight. So I'm just saying, I'm not here to make that kind of prediction. I think Woodley is going to teach him a good lesson, and he's going to have some respect for Woodley. Um, I believe Woodley is going to win the fight. That's why I coming from. But that doesn't mean that it goes exactly how I say. So I'm not going to bet on that, because, in my opinion, the matchup is close. In other words, Jake Paul is going to have some resistance. He's going to have some serious resistance. This guy's going to give him some work. That's what I expect, because this guy didn't come to lay down. This is a guy who did not come to lay down, and he's got some boxing background. He's been doing boxing for a while. You know what I mean? So, when Jake Paul says he got top tier sparring, well, Woodley got top tier sparring from since God knows the wild card gym times. Okay, so he's got good sparring. He knows what that is. So Jake Paul talking about that is like, yeah, that's cool. I mean, yeah, but you're new to the game, bro. Woodley been doing this for a while in the background. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm talking about. And Woodley isn't the smaller guy than Jake Paul. He and Jake Paul are about the same size weight wise. He's shorter than Jake Paul. He's more compact than Jake Paul. You know, but he's not the smaller guy coming into this fight. Woodley walks around 200 and something pounds. Jake Paul, same thing. They're about the same size weight wise. See, so it's gonna be interesting. You know what I mean? And the fact that both of them have some kind of pop is gonna be good, because now it makes it for, it's not just one person has to look out for the power. You know, they got to look out. Woodley got to look out for Jake Paul power from his left hook and his right hand, and Jake Paul got to look out for Woodley power with his right hand. Well, most people think Woodley just have a right hand, but he also have a left hook, right? Kind of goes without saying, right? So we gonna see what's up soon enough, and Woodley leads with the lead right hand, so he throws a lead right hand. Not just a counter right hand, not just a looping right hand that Jake Paul throws, but he throws a straight lead right hand. He uses right hand as a lead, in other words. He can also lead with his left hand, like a jab. I'll give you a sure bet win. Usyk will beat Joshua. Again, man, that's a good fight. That's a good fight. Joshua can box, man. I can't really say, bro. I can't really say. If you want to go strong like that, that's good. But that's an intriguing matchup. I don't know how it will go, because Joshua can box a bit, and Usyk, you know, good boxer and everything. But it's kind of dangerous going against Joshua, because Joshua can fight on the inside, and he could also box on the outside. And he can fight at mid range. So Joshua can do it all. Usyk's mostly a mid-range fighter, so I don't know, man. I don't know, man. That's a good fight, though. That's a good fight. Usyk's definitely gonna give Joshua some work, but I'm not saying that Joshua will catch him with something big, but then again, he could because Chisora caught him with something big, so I can't really say. But Joshua has to bring something to the table other than just what he's been bringing so far. In other words, he got to do something that Usyk never seen before, kind of like just kind of throw that oddness into there. And I know Josh would do his homework on Usyk, and so Josh was a scientist too, so I can't really say, bro. He can't beat Usyk. Usyk is too fast for AJ. Dude, speed is cool, but nah, I can't really say that, bro. I can't say that. I can't honestly. I would never say that. I don't want to say he's too fast for Joshua. Joshua trains to deal with the situation in front of him, right? We saw Andy Ruiz was real fast. He was real quick. But Joshua, he trained. He lost weight and shit to get into shape to make sure he could deal with Andy Ruiz. And Joshua's a guy that would train for a certain fight. You know what I mean? So he's a scientist, man. I ain't taking nothing away from Usyk, but Anthony Joshua, that's gonna be a good fight though. It's gonna be a good fight. Man, you guys pulling some 50-50 fights. Them fights tough to really say. I really can't say. These are good fights. These are real good fights. I'm the one that told you Ruiz would beat Joshua in the first fight. Yeah, but he didn't beat him in the second. He looked like a clown in the second. Joshua had him missing and swinging at the air. Just box the socks off of that dude. Yeah. I'm just saying, man. I thought Joshua would have beaten Ruiz the first time because of his reach, but I could see how Ruiz could beat him, and I was like taking it very serious. I was like, Ruiz, man, you slip up with Ruiz is gonna take you out. You know what I mean? I said Joshua might come out on top in the end, but see, so I call it, I call all variables, like because I could be wrong on certain things, because certain fights, you know, you look at the fighter, like Ruiz was fighting tall fighters all the time, and he was just giving them the work. He was stopping them and shit. So it wasn't really surprising that Ruiz beat Joshua for me. But the thing about it is, though, bro, you know, Joshua came back. The one thing that shocked me was when Joshua beat Ruiz, because I thought Ruiz beat him the first time. Oh, you gonna beat him this time? Nope. Nope. Joshua outboxed his ass, confused him. He didn't even know how to come in. He was getting tagged. He was getting jabbed up. He was getting right hands inside. But Joshua wouldn't trade with him in the mid range because he realized that was Ruiz's thing. Ruiz had fast hands, double the speed of what he could do at a certain range. So I could see Joshua keeping it long against Usyk, boxing and watching him, and picking him off, boxing and watching him, moving, picking him off, walk to him, keep the jab stiff. So you change up your jab and keep it stiff. One thing that Sean Porter was talking about with Usyk would throw one jab soft and a double jab, and then the other hard, really nice and powerful. Knock back Pacquiao's head, and Pacquiao be like, "Oh shit, I gotta respect that." And that's all those little beautiful classical things, man. It's the nuances of boxing. I love that. Yeah, so Anthony Joshua can also vary the speed, the pace of his jab, and all that. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think I really, when that fight comes around, I'm gonna actually tell you. I gotta watch the boxers, how they training, how they spar, and watch them in the weight when they come in for the weigh-in, and I don't know exactly what's going on because those fights just too close for me to call them at this point in time. I could tell you about Woodley and Jake Paul based on what I see and the body language of them. But as to tell you that, because Tyron Woodley, Jake Paul will be looking for the old man to fade somewhere in the middle of the fight, and that's when he will try and take him out. You know what I mean? Because he's a smart guy. He understands you got to tire out your opponent. Um, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what the game plan for Jake Paul is. I don't know what the game plan for Tyron Woodley is. If I was Tyron Woodley, I'd go to that young boy's body. I try to get to the body. Of course, I got to be smart about it because when you try to go to the body, they counter you up top, which means you got to feint up top to go to the body and all of that stuff. So we'll see. We'll see what's up. We'll see what's up with that. But I can tell you for a fact, Caleb Plant is no joke. Caleb Plant is no joke. And if Canelo thinks he's gonna walk through Caleb Plant, he better take that fight super serious. Caleb Plant is no joke. He's not Billy Joe Saunders, and he's certainly as hell not Callum Smith. I'll tell you that. And Callum Smith's a good fighter and everything, but Canelo nullified him, like made him almost a no component. You know what I mean? So I really respect fighters like Canelo who could slip punches coming on the inside to you. You know, another fighter who was really good at that was Carlos Baldomir. He'd be slipping, he'd be off center, slipping as he's coming inside, throwing lead rights or jabs or whatever he was throwing. He was always off center. You know, when Canelo knocked out Carlos Baldomir, it's because he was tired. He stopped. He stopped doing his thing. I guess Canelo was very smart going to the body to tire out the old guy. So, you know, I think Jake Paul would do best to go to Tyron Woodley's body as soon as possible. You know, that's probably his game plan anyway. And Tyron Woodley, it's his best interest to go to Jake Paul's body as soon as possible. You know, start off with the jab to the pit if you can. You know what I mean? So that's all I got to say for that. I'm not going to say no more because I don't want to give these fighters ideas, but yeah, you know, you box around them, you know. I ain't gonna say nothing. We gonna see what happens with Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. But if Tyron Woodley do what he's supposed to do, he beat Jake Paul, and he beat him pretty easy. You know, because he got the footwork, he got the quickness of feet, and hopefully he knows how to pivot and pivot very well because pivot work will be critical. But you got to cut those pivots correctly. If you cut them incorrectly, Jake Paul gonna see the angle and he can just tag your ass. So you better be careful how you pivot. But yeah, if you use proper pivot work, keep your composure in the fight. You know, stay focused, looking for your targets and stuff, trap set and stuff. You should be able to beat Jake Paul easy, man. Jake Paul got a good right hand. Probably got a good left hook. Looks like he's big and strong. Um, but if he come trying to walk through punches, he gonna get dead. That's the idea. Because you want to counter punch a fighter. You want him coming to you so you can counter punch your ass. You know what I mean? Um, but if Tyron Woodley, if he's going to come to Jake Paul, I don't know how much he knows how to fight on the inside or how to bob and weave and that kind of shit, or roll punches or dip from punches. But if he can do that kind of shit, then he should do it against Jake Paul. Get up to his body to body, and work him. Tyron Woodley is a very strong guy, and he was a wrestler, so he know how to tie you up. He know how to move you around. I don't know if Jake Paul got a wrestling background. Logan Paul does, but that's gonna work in his best interest with Jake Paul, if you know, because he's a wrestler. So you should use some of your wrestling in the boxing. So we'll see. I don't know what'll happen, but I'm looking forward to that fight tonight, and may the best man win. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So anyway, I can't even remember if this video was about that. I think this video was about TBE and greatness, right? Am I mistaken? And I just went off on these fights. Um, yeah, but I think that Manny Pacquiao, if people call him the greatest, you know what? He deserved that. He deserved that accolade. You know, he might not have been greater than Floyd in Floyd's era, but he went beyond Floyd's era to a whole new era of fighters, and he proved himself. You know what I mean? So nothing wrong with calling him the greatest. You got to have a couple greats, right? We have rankings of the greatest of all time. We got, you know, people you know, that rank from 1 to 100, right? So why not? And Floyd Mayweather calling himself the best ever. I don't see nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. People make a big deal out of that. The best ever, man. The man, look at the man's record, man. Look at the man's record. Look at Pacquiao's record, right? Tell me how many fighters in the history of boxing had records like that. I don't care what time in boxing that faced that amount of quality fighters through so many divisions. And all you got to say, okay, even if you want to talk about the original divisions, how many fighters won championships at lightweight and welterweight and beat all the top guys in lightweight and welterweight? How many champions? That's Floyd Mayweather, right? He basically would have been a lightweight and a welterweight. And maybe even a middleweight, a small middleweight, but a middleweight, right? He fought at middleweight in terms of Canelo, Cotto, and Oscar. And guess what? All three of those guys became middleweight champion, right? Oscar became the WBC middleweight champion. Miguel Cotto became the WBC linear middleweight champion. And Canelo, he was the man at middleweight. He had the WBC, WBA, and IBF titles. He just didn't have the WBO to become undisputed middleweight champion. And he was the linear champion as well, right? And Floyd beat all of them, right? Those would have been the top middleweights, right? Oscar would be one of them. Bernard Hopkins was another, right? So at the end of the day, he basically beat the top middleweights. Yeah. So even if you don't consider him a middleweight because he didn't campaign at it really, you know, you could say that okay, in a way, honorarily, he beat the top middleweights. Nobody even talk about that, but it's true. When you look at Manny Pacquiao now, Manny Pacquiao, he was the top guy. He dominated. Remember, Floyd dominated welterweight and he dominated lightweight. He was the top lightweight, no doubt about it, and he was the top welterweight, no doubt about it. Right? No matter if you're talking about junior welterweight or super featherweight, which is part of lightweight in the old system, right? Anything above 126, which was featherweight, would have been lightweight, right? And anything above 135 would have been welterweight back in the day, right? So if you look at it, he dominated everything from 127 all the way up to 135, and then he dominated everything from 136 up to 147. He was the man. Okay, period. Period. So even if you're looking at the old system, he was the best in them two divisions. He dominated those two divisions. Ain't nobody even touched him. Okay? All right. So when we look at a middleweight now, that's a totally different story because, you know, even though he did face the top middleweights and beat them, you know, it wasn't full-fledged middleweight. You know what I'm saying? He was in middleweight. You know, he was a very, very small middleweight. But, you know, if you want to put it that way, he did beat the top middleweights, though. And that's some crazy shit. So you might even say he dominated middleweight. You can't say that really because middleweight involved a lot of other guys besides Canelo and Day, and he didn't face some of those guys. And if he faced some of those guys and beat some of those guys, then we could have said, oh yeah, that motherfucker dominated middleweight. But he never went to the middleweight limit. He never fought nobody at the middleweight limit. Let's say he had beaten Gennady Golovkin or Sergio Martinez or something like that. You know, who was actually a middleweight champion, or even Canelo or Oscar or Cotto when they was at middleweight, then we could say, you know, he dominated middleweight because, you know, he beat a middleweight champion and the middleweight champion, whether it's the lineal or the actual guy, you know. But you can't really say that because he didn't. So, but you can say that he beat the dominant middleweight champions. He beat, you know, the guys who was the guys at middleweight. You could say that. You know what I mean? Which is really cool, you know, because he couldn't make middleweight. He just could. Pacquiao, man, Pacquiao, Floyd. When you think about the shit these dudes did, shit, it rivaled Sugar Ray Robinson easy, 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 easy. Dwarfs Sugar Ray Leonard's career and accomplishments. Dwarfs Duran's accomplishments and career. Dwarfs, you know, does not dwarf Henry Armstrong's career and accomplishments. It does not. It doesn't. Okay, but when you're talking about, you know, Henry Armstrong was a different breed. Even though Pacquiao did better than him, Pacquiao did better than him. Pacquiao was a champ in 4 of the original divisions. The original 8 divisions. He cleaned out 4 of them. He was a champion in 4 of them. Could have been 5. You know, if he had gotten bantamweight, that would have been crazy. But he skipped bantamweight, right? Dominated, like dominated. Motherfucker dominated welterweight. Dominated. Well, he didn't dominate lightweight. He beat one of the champions at lightweight. Okay, and he only had 1 fight at lightweight, right? So he beat one of the champions at lightweight. He didn't dominate lightweight, but he beat one of the champions there, right? But he dominated featherweight, right? Dominated. Actually, he beat 2 of the champions at lightweight because super featherweight Marquez was the dude, you know, and Marquez turned out to be future lineal lightweight champion, right? So he actually beat the man who would turn out to be the man at lightweight, right? Anyways, he beat featherweight man, which was Barrera. He dominated featherweight. Okay, this is the crazy shit we talking about. He dominated flyweight. Dominated. You understand what I'm saying? That's some wicked shit. He outgrew the division that he was weight drained when he faced Banzai Singh Surat. That's how Banzai Singh Surat knocked him out. Yeah, it was body punching and stuff, but Pacquiao was weight drained. He couldn't even make the weight. I think he got stripped of the belt or whatever. But yeah, the point is anyway that these boys, they're bad boys. They bad boys. Trying to talk about weak era. They bad boys. Mayweather and Pacquiao is two savages. Ain't nobody come close to them in their accomplishments. Nobody. They just stood out. And we had some bad motherfuckers in that era. We had Shea Mosley was still in there. Oscar was at the end of his career. He was still in there. And then we had the badasses like Marquez, Cotto, huh, huh, badasses. They also separated themselves from everybody. Then we got Tim Bradley, tough as nails, right? Timothy Davidson Bradley made his name off of Pacquiao, but he was dominating other guys in other divisions. Super lightweight, he would have been a small welterweight to jump up the welterweight division, right? We had also Amir Khan in that, even though he never faced either of them. We had Amir Khan in that era. We had Mikey Garcia in that era. Canelo in that era. We had Berto in that era. Berto was just tearing through everybody. Vicious Victor Ortiz when he was Vicious Victor Ortiz. Marcos El Chino fucking Maidana. A killer. Just a straight killer. Always gonna wreck you. He always had a wrecking ball in them fists. We had Antonio Margarito, Paul Williams, Sergio Martinez, motherfucking Corey Spinks, Vernon Forrest. We had Carlos Quintana, Kermit Cintron. People forget about this shit. It was loaded. It was loaded. Locked and fucking loaded. Ricky the Hitman Hatton, motherfuckers. We had Miguel Cotto. Uh, 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 Wicked. When you really think about it, it was a wicked time. They say it was a weak era. There wasn't no weak era, man. It wasn't a weak era. You know what I'm saying? We had Robert the Ghost Guerrero jumping all the way up and beating what the cat name that everybody was ducking. The European cat. Everybody was ducking. He beat that man. Went toe to toe. Beat his ass. You know what I mean? We had what's his kid name? Devin Alexander, who got beat by Sean Porter and got beat by Timothy Bradley, right? And y'all might forget some of these other guys, but Lamont Peterson was up in there. We had Danny Garcia. We had what's his kid name? Not Mikey Garcia. He had a cannon in his hand. He the guy that decked Timothy Bradley twice. Oh, I forgot his name. Y'all know who I'm talking about, man. It was buzzing in that era. We had DeMarcus Chop Chop Corley when he got Cotto in trouble. Y'all remember them fights? Y'all remember them fights? Zab Super Judah, how he got Costa Zoo in all kinds of problems in the first round. Then he started playing around in the second round, playing like he gonna box Zoo, and Zoo decked his ass. Y'all remember that shit? Y'all remember tough as nails Mickey Ward? You have a Mickey Ward fight, he gonna make it tough for you. Zab Judah said Mickey Ward was his toughest opponent. Y'all remember them guys? Y'all got to remember these guys, man. Y'all got to remember the era was an interesting era, man. I remember Ricardo Torres versus Miguel Cotto. I remember what's the kid name? Abdulev or something like that versus Miguel Cotto. That was another great fight. Man, when we talk about the era, Mayweather and Pacquiao era, it was sparking, but people forget about these things. They forget about the fights. It's always what you could have done for me lately. But we had some gladiators. We got some warriors up in there. Diego fucking Corrales, Eric Morales, Antonio Barrera, Prince Nassim Hamed, Kevin Kelly. This was in Pacquiao Mayweather's era, y'all. Y'all forget about all of these fighters. You know what I mean? But if you've been there and you was watching it, and you remember Roy Jones Jr. when he beat what's the guy named John Ruiz for the heavyweight championship of the world. That motherfucker went from 154. Come on now, 154 to heavyweight champion of the world. Nobody's ever done that. People gotta remember the era, man. Y'all gotta remember the era. These dudes was making history. Roy is crazy, man. Roy's a crazy dude. Like what Roy did, nobody's done. Ever. No one. Okay? The closest to it was a guy about 100 years ago who went from middleweight and became and fought at heavyweight, and I can't remember if he won. Not Philadelphia Jack O'Brien. It was the guy who he was known at light heavyweight as well, but he started off at middleweight and won a middleweight championship. I think he won a middleweight championship. He won the light heavyweight championship, and then he jumped up to heavyweight, and I think he won the heavyweight championship of the world. Came back down to light heavyweight and won that. Yeah, Roy did all that. He started off at 154, became middleweight champion of the world. Then you got that in between title, the super middleweight champion. And then became light heavyweight champion of the world, and skipped the cruiserweight. And then he went all the way up to heavyweight, became heavyweight champion of the world. Came back down to light heavyweight, became light heavyweight champion of the world again. That's what he did. That's crazy. Oh, the guy's name is popping in my head and disappearing. You guys know who I'm talking about. So all I'm saying to y'all is, you know, we've had some great fighters, man. In the era of Pacquiao and Mayweather, which is coming to an end because Pacquiao's the last. He's the last Mohican. He's the last of his era to still be standing. And if we can get one more fight out of him, I'll be happy. Just make sure he stay healthy and good. But if we can get one more fight, maybe a rematch with Ugas, and call it a day, win, lose, or draw, man, I'm good with it. And people say, oh, Pacquiao, he's hurting his legacy by fighting on. No, he's not, man. No, he's not. His legacy is cemented. Roy Jones' legacy is cemented. Roy Jones didn't hurt his legacy. He still did impossible things nobody else did. He just decided to fight on. Now he's done. Okay? I mean, Pacquiao can do exhibitions and shit too. So it doesn't matter if he rematches or not. He done enough. He done already being. You might as well bow down and call him the greatest, because you know what? He done it. Done it. You know what I mean? Mayweather, he done it. You know, he ain't got to do nothing. He ain't shit to prove. He don't never need to do any more pro fights forever. But if he want to, more power to him. At 44 or 45 or whatever he is, more power to him. You know what I mean? Want to take on Pacquiao in a pro fight, more power to him. But I don't think that makes sense, because unless Pacquiao can prove he can beat Dennis Ugas, it ain't make no sense. He ain't going to beat Floyd. He's just not going to beat him. Because Floyd going to implement the same thing Ugas doing, probably better, and beat Pacquiao. You got to be able to beat Dennis Ugas to show me you could beat Floyd Mayweather. Otherwise, you ain't going to beat Floyd Mayweather. Even this dilapidated, diminished version of Floyd will beat you, because he'll use the same principles Ugas be doing, and Ugas didn't even do all this excessive movement. You know what I mean? Ugas was just standing and pivoting. You know what I mean? That's all he was doing, standing and pivoting, moving and pivoting. That's all he was doing. And if he could do that, then Floyd could do it too. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's a sweet science, man. It's a sweet science. You know, and you know, it's not all about speed and power, man. I keep on explaining it to people. It's about angles. It's about timing. It's about placement. Angles, time, and placement. Timing, feint, zoop. Right? Timing, placement. I'm gonna go to the body, but I'm just gonna bow to the body. I'm gonna go to your liver. I'm gonna go to your solar plexus. I'm gonna go to your liver. I'm gonna go to your solar plexus. I'm gonna go to your solar plexus. I'm gonna rip to your solar plexus. Faint you, go to the liver. I'm gonna go to your solar plexus. Slingshot, solar plexus. You understand what I'm saying? You gotta understand, what am I doing with the spleen shot? Why did I go to the liver? Why am I hooking to the solar plexus instead of the liver? Why am I doing these things? What reaction am I looking from you? Faint to the body, go to the head. Faint to the body, hook to the head. Faint to the body, hook to the head. Boom to the body. What am I doing? So you got to understand what it is in boxing. You know what I mean? You got to understand what it is in boxing. If you don't understand what it is in boxing, then, I mean, you're going to lose your fights. That's what I'm trying to explain to Pacquiao. Pacquiao, you need to understand what I'm saying. You want to beat Adonis Ugas. You want to beat that system, that style that beat you the last time. Shut your mouth, recoup, handle your family business, go back to the drawing board, look at the game plan, watch the tape. You're not watching the tape to see how you lost to Ugas. No, you watching to see what Ugas be doing. All your attention's on Ugas. Or get somebody who break down fights and let him look at Ugas and what he was doing. Understand the system so you can neutralize it, so you can counter it. You should be working in the lab on that shit. Enough talking. If you're serious about a rematch, you should be sitting down just like Anthony Joshua. After he lost to Andy Ruiz, dude went into the lab. And in a couple of days' time, Ninja was training like a mother. You know? What do I need to do to get to win? That's what you should be doing, Pacquiao. If you want to beat this dude, you're going to take a couple of days to get your eyes less puffy, to get your internal bleeding down, to get your body back healthy and strong, maybe a month or whatever. And then your motherfucking ass need to be training again to stay back in shape. You need to be out there training. You have to take it serious, and you got to figure out what it is you need to do to beat this dude. And don't be fooling yourself. He beat your ass, and it wasn't because of leg cramps, because a simple little thing like a feint, and you would have thrown him off, and you could have countered his ass. It was that simple. But if you don't know how to do shit, or you don't know what it is you're facing, you will get beat. You will get beat. You got to get him to go down the wrong angles. You got to get him overconfident. You got to get him throwing punches. You know that, Pacquiao. And he a counter puncher. He will counter punch your ass. So you better have an evasive maneuver every single time you make a movement. And you don't have to do all that excessive movement. You could slide. You don't have to bounce. You could slide. You done already got big feet. Slide around. Slip and slide. Slide a little bit. I saw you do it against Thurman. How you slid in instead of bounced in. That's clever. Because they expect you to bounce like a bunny. You got to change it up. You know, Thurman was expecting certain things. Shout out to XX Raw 2013. You got to change up your game. And you have it in you, Pacquiao. You have it in you. But you gotta know when to do what. And you need to have good people in your corner who understand, okay, now it's time to slip and slide right here. Just throw a little bit in the round. Throw them off. You know? Other times, bait him in. Let him throw his shots. Throw off his shots so you can counter down the center. Catch him with something. You gonna cover up? Cover up, no problem. You don't have to follow all the way through and waste your energy. It's a marathon. You select it with your punches, man. And then when you need to throw barrage, get on his ass. You heard him, get on his ass. Don't leave him, don't let him off the hook. Get on his ass. See? It's all about, you know how to do this. You a veteran, Pacquiao. You know what to do. But I'm just saying though, fight him smarter, man. You gotta fight him smarter. I know you was befuddled by what was before you for a while, and your corner was befuddled. But y'all need to get used to that system and that style. That style shouldn't be befuddling you right now. Especially after the first Mayweather fight, and you say you want a rematch. How you gonna rematch Mayweather? How you gonna beat Mayweather? How you gonna beat Mayweather and you can't beat Ugas? You can't beat Mayweather if you can't beat Ugas. You got Ugas problems. You gotta get past Ugas first to say you could beat a style like Mayweather. Because Ugas used literally the blueprint. He used exactly the same things Mayweather was doing to beat you. So Mayweather still can beat you. Mayweather still beats you. Mayweather still beat you 2015. That's what basically 2015, Ugas validated 2015, that Mayweather beat your ass. All right? Because Ugas used exactly the same things Mayweather used. The same strategy, the same angles to beat you. So you need to figure out what those angles are, that approach is, study that approach, and neutralize it. And neutralize it. Right? If you want to do a rematch, you need to come with something different. And we don't know what Ugas will have up his sleeve, but what we can tell you is you have to use what you have in the book to neutralize that. You got to be clever with it. And I saw you had some success against Ugas, especially when Ugas put away his jab. But you can't rely on him to put away his jab. You have to take it from him. You have to take the confidence of him popping out that jab. And if you can't do that, you're not going to win the fight. And it's easier said than done, but I'm just saying, you got to mix it up. Feints, counters. Sometimes he push you back, set the trap. Okay, he's jabbing. Okay, cool. I'm going to back up. I'm going to back up. I'm going to let him feel that his jab's working. So you could counter him. I mean, this is all the things that Floyd be doing to our other fighters all the time. Right? Only Cotto was a dude. I mean, Cotto was real smart with it. Cotto fucked up Floyd with that jab. Floyd had a nod. He was like, yeah. He backed the fuck up after that because Cotto hit him with a jab. Boom! Straight in his mouth. Busted his nose instantaneously. Floyd backed up and nodded. He acknowledged the jab. He was like, you got me good, brother. I'll never forget that. Okay? Cotto busted his nose with a jab. But you have to be able. Some guys, it's hard to take away their jab because they do other things other than just jab. And Ugas he moves with his jabs, right? But at the same time, you can make it more predictable by baiting him in. Let him follow you around with his jab. You just be backing up and turning, and you could actually turn him in the angle you want him to go. See? Make him follow you with the jab. Draw him in. Bait and counter. Bait and counter is the key to nullifying a jab. And you have the skill set to be able to slip a jab and do whatever the fuck you want to do. So, if Ugas is throwing his jab, that's a good thing for you. You should be looking forward to neutralizing him. And yes, he's going to try and stay a safe distance away. I know that. And stay in balance. But you got to get him to reach in, with your virtual distancing, man. Draw him in. Let him pop the jab a couple times. I remember Marcus Maidana versus Floyd Mayweather. Second fight, round 3. Marcus Maidana drew Mayweather into pull countering him because Mayweather was pull countering him over and over again. And he took it for granted for 1 second, and Marcus Maidana lit his ass up. And that's what you do very well. You get guys so offensively minded, you put them to sleep. You lull them to sleep, and that's when you counter them. That's your most effective work, Pacquiao, is always when these guys are coming to you and you're drawing them into your traps so you can get preferred range. That's your trick. That's Mayweather's trick. You and Mayweather do the same thing. So once you can lull them in, let them feel confident and everything, then you can spring your trap on them. Marcus Maidana, who's not considered this great boxer, he did it to Floyd Mayweather. Mayweather stopped, he made an adjustment, but the point is, he did it to Floyd. You did it to Floyd. You got Floyd to reach out with his jab because he was further away than he thought you were, and you countered him with the left hand. That's the smart boxing we need you to do a lot more and make adjustments. Because you're a veteran. You've done it all. You can trick Ugas. He's young. He's still inexperienced in many ways. He got to wait on his trainer or his coach. You don't got to wait on Freddie Roach to teach you everything. You got that savvy, that experience, that cleverness. And where your corner's lacking, you should be able to come up with innovative ways to deal with these guys because they're young. You can feint them out of place. You could draw them into traps. And that's what you should be doing. Make Ugas come to you. Make Ugas reach for you. Because once they reach in, you got them. Don't waste your punches. He don't waste his punches. You don't waste your punches. Show them how effective you. I bet you get him. You get him good. You're going to hurt his ass at least once in the fight. And people are going to be able to see the Pacquiao. But you got to fight smart. I know he was a last minute notice. Nonetheless, you got to always fight smart. You fought too hard. You fought more hard than smart. because what you was doing wasn't working, and your corner wasn't telling you what to do to make an adjustment. It was just these small little adjustments would have made a big difference, and you didn't have to expend all that energy. You know what I mean? Anyways, man, that's just my talk to Pacquiao. I think in a rematch you can make the fight either closer or you can win that fight, or it's close enough that the judges decide to give you the decision or you get a draw or whatever. But honestly, Pacquiao, man, I think you still can do it. Your eyes was a little bit messed up. I'm sure you got blood up in your inside from the fighting. And maybe this is it for you. Maybe you could call it a day and say, you know what, let me just focus on the politics. Or you could do that fight in January. If I was you, I'd take the rematch. But I prepare myself and make sure that I'm not taking no hard punches from this guy. This dude be hitting you on the gloves and shit. You know you blocking the punches, but I don't think blocking punches is always the best way. Sometimes just stay clear of them. Period. You know, roll under them. Slip back. And when you slip back, he gonna follow you. You see what I'm saying? If he misses and he sees you slip back, he gonna follow you and you can walk him into something. You know what I mean? And so I just think that don't try to take them punches, man. That dude is just way too big for you, man. He's got a lot of pop and power. They say he's not a knockout artist, but I seen him knock out people with that right hand. So, you don't need to take all that necessary punishment. The other thing I think you need to do is you watch his angles of approach and you stay off center line. You stay off center line, meaning you stay outside. So if he throws a punch that's really nice and clean, you can roll under it immediately. Or if he's throwing a straight punch, you can slip it easily and then counter if you want to, and then step off to the side or step around him. So you can step around him to his power hand side, in which once he throws the power hand, you step around him and then you land your left or whatever. Or you can step around him to his weak side. When he pop a jab, you step around him. Now I know he stays at a certain length, so when you advance to step around, he takes a step back and he steps back at a pivot. I know that, but still at the same time, that's what you need to do and probe that way. To get your gauge together. All right, because he's mostly facing you. I see that, and then he dips down and blocks himself up. Well, again, very great strategy. Left hand, right hand combination. Right hand, left hand. But you was getting him back. So all I'm saying to Pacquiao, if I gotta say anything, is, I think you can do it. I think you can do it against Ugas. I don't think he's gonna put a big beating on you if you fight smarter though. You gotta fight smarter. The way how you fought in that fight, you was fighting hard, bro. You was fighting super hard, but not super smart. I'll be honest with you. You wasn't fighting super smart. You trying to figure the guy, and the guy had already figured you out, and that's not cool. So in the second fight smarter, not harder. You're supposed to be the savvy one. You ain't supposed to be wasting all that energy, trying to get this dude and tiring yourself out and getting all these body shots and all these head shots you're getting. No, 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 no. You're supposed to be smarter than that. So that's it for what you need. I'm out of the building. I just wanted to talk about boxing. And I don't think that Ugas was the easiest fight that Pacquiao ever had. I don't know why he said that. But I think he probably was being very exuberant, realizing, what the fuck was I doing? He might have been in the fight, but looking at it like, all I needed to do right here was just like fade him. Dang it. Because he was roped in. He was ready to throw combos and shit. All I needed to do is fade him right there and just throw that shot right there. At a certain point in time, you'd be looking at yourself like, man, I really fought a dumb fight. You know, I was fighting super hard, but not smart. Right? So hopefully you realize that, and your defense, to tighten up your defense, simple again, just defensive evasive maneuvers. You know, and if he's coming to get you, you got him. If he's not coming to get you, then you just keep on pecking at him. Keep on pecking at him. You know, but don't try to get hit, man. Try to get out of the line of getting hit. I mean, period. I mean, you might be blocking the shots, but still, you still getting hit. On your hands or whatever, and in your body. So try to avoid that. And he's a good body puncher, so understand that. Understand what you need to do. Not just get in and out, faint as if you're going in, so he doesn't know when you're going to go in, when you're going to go out, and show him a different look. Show him a different look. He's showing you all kinds of different looks. Show him a different look as well. Don't just come in the same way. Anyways, that's what I got. And you can do it, Pacquiao. All right, man. what you need. I'm gonna catch you guys later. Peace.